Welcome to the Action Shooting Show. We're going to be doing things a little bit different today. One is we have someone else on here that's not, I don't think you've been on the show before.
No.
This is my wife, Mary. So we're going to look a little bit better for the day. It's not just going to be a bunch of sweaty mouth breathers in their mom's basement like it normally is. So just one. So the reason she's on here today is because she just shot this last match that we're going to talk about, which is the Gun Run Team Land Nav match. If you look back on our episodes, I've done 2 others of these the last 2 years before this. And this year, my partner from last year, Nick Hansen, unfortunately hurt his hand, had to back out, and Mary was gracious enough to do it with me. So I always forget this. If you like these videos, please like and share them. I know I see you guys at matches. Someone came up to me this match, said they had, recognized me from watching the videos. Seems like the people I talk to, oh yeah, I watched this video about this match before I came out to it. That's the reason we do this. We're just trying to help people out that are new to shooting, or maybe they're shooting a new match that they haven't shot before. Or, sometimes I go back and watch them because I'm trying to think of what happened at the matches in the past. So, thanks for watching and share it if it's helpful for you. I'll give a quick, if you notice my shirt, Ridge Racer was a race match me and Mike shot. We're going to hopefully be doing a episode on that soon, but we were recording these on Skype. Skype is now no longer exist. So we got to find a new way to do these, and I haven't quite got all that worked out. But we will get back to making these a little bit more regular. We're behind on a couple. So on to the 2025 the Gun Run Land Navigation match. The first thing, this is in North Carolina, Ellerbe, North Carolina, at DeWitt's. It's a sporting clay place that also lets them do some matches like this there. So I think they do a couple matches. The Gun Run maybe does 1 or 2 matches there a year. This is the only one I've been to. Match flavor. Do you want to kind of explain that, Mary? How the whole thing works? This being your first time.
Match flavor.
Yeah, like how's this match? So for some background, Mary has shot some running guns in the past. We have 3 kids. She doesn't get out to a lot of them. I think it's been 3 years since she shot one, but she has been to a couple of them and shot a number of them. So we did the Zombie as a team a couple years back. Mm-hmm. She's done like 2 or 3 of the Heartbreaks. So while she's not a new to running gun, she's new to this match. So maybe explain what the format of this match is, as we call it, match flavor.
Okay. So it was a 2-part match. You have your land nav section and your shooting section. And so it kind of bounced back and forth between first you found your points on the map and your objectives.
Yep.
To find them. So we did 2 of those.
Well, yeah, we'll get into the actual back and forth. But yeah, so part of it's land nav, part of it's shooting. The nice thing about this range and the setup they have there, and this really, I think, key to how they're able to do this, is DeWitt's is on the north side of I think it's Jimmy Carragher Road. So there's just a 2-lane, like, hardball road. DeWitt's is on the north side. On the south side is some of DeWitt's land, but a whole lot of game land. So we'll go through the match here in a second and explain kind of step by step how we went. But the real key to this is on that north side of that road is where all of your shooting stages are. There's 8 shooting stages. To the south, they could have anywhere in that land, they could have these land nav points. And they have some very, very rough country, some very, very thick brush areas that they could be in. We'll definitely talk about that. But that's kind of the dividing line. If you cross that road, like if you're in your land nav section and you cross that road into the north part, you should be doing no land nav. You should only be going to 2 different points and then going on to shooting. So that's really the way that this is done. It can be done really, really safely. Like if, and I'm going to put a map on the screen. This is just this is the map that we carried. But if you see where there's a yellow line, I'll put it on the screen. Anything to the one side, if you cross over that, you plot a point on the south side of that yellow road, or I'm mixing this up, sorry. If you plot a point on the north side of that yellow road, you're wrong. That shouldn't be a land nav point. That should be a shooting stage, which they have signs to. You don't have to find that part. So, anything you want to add before we go on? No. I cut her off. I'm trying to keep it consistent. All right, so the way the map this works is, and I've got some of these pictures. I'll put them up there. You at start finish, they give you a couple of points. They give you a map, so they have a 1 in 50K scaled map that they give you, and you can do all your point plotting on that as a team. I recommend this. I've done this. Either I'd made the maps or friend made the maps the last couple years, and I made my own map. I like 1 in 25K for the kind of distances you're doing. I think it's a little better scaled. Your points are a little easier to do, and so I make that, and I kind of go in and do some other things, which I could talk about at some point, but we're not going to do that today. But at the very beginning, they give you the point for the CP, which is like the control point or whatever. That's where you're starting. Command post. That's where you start. So they give you that post. They give you that grid coordinate. They give you the rally point, which is in another location. And then they give you your first objective, which is objective alpha. So you need to plot all 3 of those points so you kind of know where you're going. So we plotted those. We sat down. It's an 8-digit grid code. When I put the picture up of like the control point and like the rally point, and alpha, you'll be able to see what that looks like. If you don't have any land nav experience, now is not the time to try to explain like completely how you do it, but they give you a point using this map and something like this, this is a Map Tools, which I highly recommend their brand, map protractor. You kind of put this on there and you're able to plot your point in space. Similar to GPS, but a different system. So we plotted our point, which maybe now we'll go to, I'm going to switch here to a screen capture, and I will show you what we did on the Garmin GPS. I ran my Garmin through this whole thing so that you could kind of see what we're going with. So, 1 second. All right, so here's a quick overlay of the area, and this was our path we took. You can see Jimmy Carragher Road. In the match, they kind of renamed this Phase Line Washington. So when you get directions, like when we left the stage, they said, go this way, turn west onto Phase Line Washington. That's what they're talking about. So we'll zoom in a little bit, but kind of right here where you see the start, that is the CP. So they gave us our first point. We were able to plot that and see that on this map, you can kind of see there's a big power line cut here. So where we plotted it, we saw that there was a big power line cut going across here, and it actually splits off. And this map doesn't show, but my map actually there's a path that crosses here. So our strategy here was to come down, come across this power line cut. Now, it gets probably right about here. It starts to get really, really soupy and swampy. But we cut down, and if it looks like a mess here, it's because this point was kind of a mess for us.
You kind of see the color change, I think, within the
Yeah, you can see it in the thing where the satellite looks a little darker. So we went to where this power line and the path crossed, and we had kind of measured out using some of our tools. We'll show you these here in a little bit. The distance, and right off the top of my head, I don't remember what the pace count was. It was only like 50 meters or something like that. So we went in and then shot our azimuth and went up into the woods. Well, this is really, really thick woods. So we cut in for a while. We kind of separated, went up, counted in as far as we thought we were supposed to be. Didn't find it. So since that didn't work, we kind of looked around a little bit. We came back to the path, and I could see on the map that there was a low spot, and there was a place that showed like a dotted blue line, which is temporary water. We did find a little river, did kind of go to the low spot. So we kind of tried to cut up that low spot, sticking to the left side of the low spot as you're going, or the west side of the low spot, because that's where our point was showing on that we plotted. We did that for a while. We went up. We couldn't find it. I mean, if you look, like, I don't know how if it's showing my hand. I mean, we got up. I started getting on higher ground and realized it wasn't right. We went back. We searched a little more, and I mean, all over the place. Mary climbed 2 different trees. I mean, like,
kind of just for fun.
Just for fun, but she was like 15, 20 feet up looking for our points. I don't think we've said yet how they mark points in this. If you've done other land navigation stuff, a lot of times they'll have like a little, they call it a flag. It's like a little box that's got colors, like a square, got colors on each side. In this case, they take pink construction paper, and 2 or 3 sides will have that pink construction paper. One side will have white with instructions on it, and they saran wrap that around the tree. I would like to plot this point again at some point and compare this. I think we just barely missed it.
Yeah, it's probably just right there where your hand is.
It's like where the little hand on this screen is. I believe that's where it was.
On the other side of the creek.
Yeah, kind of on the other side of the creek is. But it sounds like that little water had actually moved from when most of these maps were made, and that's why we thought we were on the right side, but really we were on the wrong side of it. In retrospect, we probably could have attacked it from this edge of the brush and kind of shot an azimuth and gone in from there. I think if I did this again, that's what I would try. But this, for the kind of heads up, this was the one point we did not get today, and it kind of bit us. It definitely bit us in the butt later on. We spent about an hour and 30 or 45 minutes just on this point, like
closer to 2 hours.
Closer to 2 hours, just up and down. I think in retrospect, we would do better with some kind of search strategy. If you look at this map, there's not a lot of logic to our search strategy, and we thought at the time we were kind of doing one, but that's something I think we're going to work on for the future. So yeah, this one was kind of a bust, not from lack of effort, but really once we tried 2 or 3 different ways to find it and those failed, I didn't have any more tools in my toolbox to throw at it. We just said, we got a lot of day left. Let's give up.
There's a video we watched last night that had good.
Yes. So we're already trying to kind of learn what we can do better. So anyways, we headed back, and you headed back to the command post, the CP. And from there, they sent you to your first stage, which was, you can kind of see her back and forth. That is the pistol bay right there. So we're going to switch back over to the video. All right, so we are on to stage 1. I guess before stage 1. So when I'm talking about the tools, this is what we use for the match. So this is a map tools. It's the UTM coordinate scale pocket slots. It's a lot smaller than a lot of the military ones. It's really nice. It fits better, I think. I think this is the most handy thing Hansen gave me. Our friend gave me this last year. This is a grid, like just a UTM grid of 1 in 25K, and it's a 1 kilometer. So it's 100 meters division, and it has little dots every 50
1 kilometer?
meters. 1 kilometer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kilometer?
1 kilometer. 1 kilometer, kilometer.
Kilometer. You got it.
And 100 meter vision. So this came in really, really handy. I highly recommend that. Other tools that you may need or want, a good set of map markers. Stadler, I think is how this was pronounced. Those are really nice. A correction pen is super handy because at some point you're going to put a mark down and not be happy with where you plotted it. I believe this is just basically alcohol. So you can write on this like laminated and then it's pretty permanent until you put this on there. So I didn't end up using any other colors but black, but there are uses for other colors. So you're also going to want a good compass. A military lensatic compass is certainly popular. I know a lot of people use these base plate compasses. This is a Brunton, I believe, a True Arc. I really like this. It's got a lot of handy things on it, but yeah, you need some kind of good compass. And like this one with the mirror and everything, this is a sighting compass, so it's similar to lensatic compass. That's very, very helpful. If you don't use that, let me see. You can use something like this. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to pick up a better compass for Mary. This is kind of the compass I just use when we're backpacking and stuff like that. It's a little plainer. You can still use this for shooting in azimuth, but it is not as nice as like a base plate compass, like one of those other ones. It worked. Mary did a great job with it. Ranger beads, pace count beads, whatever you want to call them. We did some longer. I think some of our longer pacings were close to 500 meters. So, every time you go 100 meters of your pace count, you just move a bead over. So, that's handy. I think we've talked in other episodes. And Nick likes to just break a piece of stick off and like put it in his pocket or put it in his hand or whatever. So lots of ways to keep track of that. You, when you're doing pace count, just because people are like, why don't you just keep counting? Generally, you figure out how many steps you take for 100 meters, and you're counting every other foot. So, like if I lead with my left,
A full stride.
Yeah, full stride. So for me, it's 69 paces. Mary, it's 70. Instead of trying to do the math and be like, oh, it's 400 meters and I got 69 times 4, times 4. You just walk 69 paces. You move a pace bead. There's 100 meters. You keep going. So, little bit of basic land nav for you there, but we are certainly not we are not super experienced, and we are definitely still trying to learn. So, this was a great experience for that. So, do you remember enough about the first stage? Do you want to describe it?
The first stage was a pistol-only stage. So you run up as a team to a barricade, and it's just plain barricade. And you shoot from, like, one person will shoot from the left side with your left hand, and the other will shoot from the right side with the right hand, and then you have to hit each target like 5 times, but you couldn't hit the same target at the same time as your partner. And then when you were done, you switched. So you had and you had a pie around the barricade. So you had one half you were shooting strong side, one half weak side. And so you didn't have to do one-handed, but it was still had that complexity of both hands.
Yep.
So that was kind of like I started strong side and then went to the left, and it's been a while since I've shot, especially both hands, so it took a while to like get my grip again, but we cleared that stage.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we did. So I'll share a couple things we talked about before the stage started. We harp a lot on this channel on run time is cheap, shoot time is expensive. And in our case for this match, we spent a whole lot of time out on the course. So run time was very cheap, but we wanted to maximize our shoot time. So a couple of things we considered that I pointed out to Mary. A lot of this stuff is just experience shooting matches with other people. First off, I said, okay, I'm going left, you're going right. We each knew where we were going to start with this.
You had a plan.
We had a plan. I was going to start on the left target because the two targets were next to each other. She was going to start on the right. When I got my 5 hits on the left target, I was going to yell to her, done. And when she was done, she was going to yell done, so that we knew then we could switch and I could start shooting the right target and she could start shooting the left. Because if I started shooting hers before she was done, my hits weren't going to count. The ROs aren't going to try to call 2 people shooting on the same plate. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing. And we knew which targets we were going to be engaging first and second. The second part of that plan was we got to switch locations. So did we hit the holster on that?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, they were very safe with
the I don't know if you had... I think you had to holster when you were switching positions. If not, it was like a muzzle down. Because
you did have to holster.
I think you did have to holster. But then the plan was, okay, we've got to both switch sides. Well, what do you do? I mean, if you don't plan this, you guys could both try to be running into each other. So I told Mary, hey, stick up against the wall, switch over that way. I'm going to go wide around you into that next position, which is what we did. So we weren't running into each other. And then the same thing, when I got to that side, she was going to start shooting, now it's left-handed on the left side of the wall, on the left target, and I was going to start on the right side. That plan worked out pretty well. I think I could have shot a little bit cleaner on it, but...
I made sure that, to reiterate it so you knew that I knew what our plan was.
Yeah.
And the day before, like, you've been in a lot of matches, so you had more first-hand experience, but I was watching the other competitors and, like, trying to dissect what makes a good plan and a good teamwork for it. So I was trying to make sure that I stayed out of your way and you were out of my way. We talked about that, and just the communication aspect of it to make sure we thoroughly understood the stage and our mutual plan.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we RO'd this. The match ran, I think, a little bit longer than Ellis had normally expected. Because I think there's 5 or 6 RO teams, us being one of them, who worked on Friday that was supposed to go out later on Friday. Did not go out. It just got to be too late in the day. We weren't going to have enough time. So we were like the first out. We went out before the rest of the competitors. Like, the first team went out like 7:18, and our run time was 7:46. But what Mary's saying is we worked a whole day on stage 3, and we were able to see what competitors did right and what competitors did wrong. And like Mary said, for someone who hasn't shot a match in a while, really hasn't shot a team match in a long time, she was able to kind of see like what communication worked well, what didn't, and usually no communication doesn't work well unless it's 2 people who have really teamed up a lot and just kind of know what each other are going to do. I mean, there's certainly you get that, but it doesn't hurt to talk beforehand and communicate during.
Yeah.
So
I wish I could remember each of the teams that did really well.
Yeah.
To glean from.
So that was stage 1.
Our shooters ready.
Ready?
One, two, 3, 4, 5.
Done.
4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holster. 5. Holster. Switch sides.
All right. Good job.
Come on.
1.
Yep.
2, 3, 4, Go, right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good shooting, guys. Good shooting. All right, holster up.
What was the team name?
8217.
Okay. What was
All right,
the time?
8217. 8217. Good shooting, guys.
From there, you head on down a path and you head to stage 2. Stage 2 was rifle only. So you shot pistol only. Now you're shooting rifle only. You had this was around a pond. If you shot this match before, this was actually where stage 7 was the last 2 years. But what you started, there was a barbed wire, maybe 2 feet off the ground or so, and each team member had to climb under that. One team member had a hatchet, so I took that. I was the first one to go through. Once the person with the hatchet came through, he had to hit it into the head, the top of this sentry. You're knocking the sentry out or whatever with it, and then you climbed into a little box, which was basically like a pallet in the front and 2 pallets on the side and like a top. So not real small, but not huge. And most of the slats were in, and there was a couple holes. So as a team, you had to climb in there. Once you're next to each other, you could make your guns hot. And about 200 yards, there was 3 plates. There was a full-size silhouette, a diamond, and then a full-size silhouette. And each shooter had to shoot them, I think, 4 times. Maybe 2 times, 2 or 4 times.
A number.
Multiple hits, but one at a time. So, like, I think Mary shot first. I shot first. So I got in, got set up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, however many shots it was. Then once I was done, it was Mary's turn to shoot. And then once she got that, we went on to the next and the next. This was a rough stage for us, just being confined. Mary had an issue where she induced a double feed. So I got my initial hits. She went to shoot and had a double feed.
We got that cleared.
Yeah, we cleared it pretty quick. She kind of dropped the magazine and had the bolt locked back.
The rounds were stuck.
There's 2 rounds stuck in there. I got my knife out, my crate tactical.
I was reaching for my crate
yep,
tactical.
Out the front folder, so cleared that up real quick. She put a new mag in. She was going to go prone because there was a lower one, and I was kneeling on the left at a higher one. I thought maybe that would be easier for her, but she ended up not being able to see from that prone position well.
Too small.
She was too low. Were you resting on your magazine? Yeah, if you rested on your mag, you really needed to get up on elbows, I think. So I don't know if she still would have been high enough.
Yeah, I mean, the next level up was too high to be on my elbows.
So so she moved over into my position. I got over. Yeah, we switched. You got to the left. I muzzled up and went over because I ended up shooting through a little higher. I was able to shoot through a different port.
Okay, I remember that.
So we kind of went through. I think we timed out on the last target.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a matter of bad luck, inducing a double feed. I mean, Mary's familiar enough with rifles, but when you get in a confined place, I think we think she didn't seat it deep enough, or completely, and then when it didn't load or she didn't think, she racked it again and got a double feed or something. It happens. So very fun stage. What do you got? Any takeaways from that one?
It's nice being small because I had no problem getting under the barbed wire.
That's true. I should have taken my backpack.
I have video of that one.
Yeah, I should have taken. Oh, we do. We could try to put that in there.
It's the only one I got video of.
Yeah, I forgot to take my backpack on, so I had to try to crawl under with a backpack. It was very. I don't know if it's just because of how sandy it is there, if they even dump sand down, but it was very, very sandy in that one spot. Because when I got done, I had my mag pouches had sand. I could reach in and pull pocket sand out for
for fights.
Yeah, so one thing to consider on stuff like that, this is not a necessity, but when Mary was shooting, I lifted my rifle off the barricade so that, because it's not real solid, so I wouldn't be throwing her shots off. If you can keep it steady, that may not be a problem, but when 2 people are sharing a barricade it's worth kind of considering. The other thing, and this is what makes these stages like really fast when people do this, is like if I shoot first and I get my hits and then Mary starts shooting, even if I'm not resting on there, I'm moving my rifle over onto that next target, so that as soon as she's done and yells done, or her last hit, I'm already aiming at the target and I can start getting my hits. Team matches like this, that's where there's another stage we'll talk about in a little bit, but that's really where the top winners are, like 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I mean, as soon as that last hit's going, the next teammate's breaking the shot. That's really how stages like that are won. We didn't shoot that fast enough and had some other things, but and that's really the best way to do this kind of thing.
Now I know.
So now she knows. She'll be ready. She'll be more prepared.
Next year.
So yeah, we already got plans to go back for more abuse. We were team. I hope we're still married after this. We're still married. She likes it and wants to do more. So that was a success.
The match isn't the problem, right?
Yeah. So that was stage 3. After stage 3, they follow this road straight out to Phase Line, Washington, go to the west, and head to the rally point. So we're going to switch back to the map here. All right, so here we are back at the map. So these shooting courses were, you kind of headed up here, our map's loading, and it was like 1 was down there, 2 was here, 3 was right here. You were, I think, 3. Oh, we forgot to talk about 3.
We didn't do.
Yeah, we did 3 right after that.
Did we?
Yeah, we just forgot. We just talked about 2. 3 was where we went after 2. That was the stage that we worked. So you had 3 targets out there. When you started, the closest target was about 100 yards. So the first shooter, whoever was one, took a shot at that offhand. You had one, you loaded around, drop your magazine. On the beep, you took a shot. If you hit that,
Meter. Yeah.
you said 100 meters. I think it was actually 100 yards.
Oh.
Close enough. You took a shot. If you hit it, you ran up to the barricade just by itself. If you missed, you had to grab a litter with some sandbags on it and run it up there. About 25 yards. I missed it. Normally, I'm really good at shots like that, but I completely whiffed it. We sprinted up to the front with that. So the barricades, you had 3 targets out there. So from the barricades, the closest was like 75 yards. You had one that was probably 250, and then another one that 170 yards, 180 yards, I think, somewhere around that. You had 3 ports. You had one that was a horizontal rectangle. You had a bigger square above that, and then above that you had one at a 45-degree angle. So kind of, it wasn't a VTAC board, but it was that similar idea. When you got down there, you each swapped guns. So I was shooting her gun, she was shooting my gun, and one person picked up the intel card on the ground and basically told the other person what to shoot. Initially, the plan was if I got the hit, Mary was going to sprint up there, she was going to load the gun, set it down, and I was going to pick it up and shoot first, and she was going to read me the card. But because we had to do the litter, we got down there. I just loaded my gun, stuck it down there real quick. She loaded hers, grounded it, and picked up the gun that I was shooting and started shooting. So I read her the intel, which I don't remember word for word, but it was something like, closest target, to the left, 75 yards, 3 hits. So they had to use whatever port they wanted and shoot that target 3 times. And then it was furthest target in the center, 4 hits, at 250 meters or whatever. And then they would have to move to a different port. You always had to switch ports. And they would shoot that target 4 times. And then it was far right target at 150 yards, whatever, 2 times. Once that person went through the iteration, again, they had to eventually use all 3 ports. They would move out of the way. The next person would get down there and engage those same targets in the same order. I'd worked that stage. I just read it to Mary, so like she read me some of them, but at that point I pretty much knew what I was shooting where. The big trick on this one was which port you picked. So if you know much about rifles shooting, you got a scope on top. With the horizontal port at the bottom, when you turn that gun sideways, now you don't have the same height over bore. Now your bore is actually to the left or the right, depending on how you hold the rifle of that. So if you just put the reticle dead on that, depending on the distance, there's a very good chance you're going to miss. So I think the smart way to do this was to start at the bottom on the closest target, can it up as much as you can and still see. And that way, your hold off at 75 yards isn't really crazy. We saw a lot of people start off on the middle big port for the 50 yard or 75 yard. And then they get out to the 200 and they drop down to that horizontal port. And now they're trying to shoot at a 90-degree angle, or 80-degree angle at 200 and some yards. And, you can do it if you know your offsets and your holdovers on that kind of thing. It's certainly a doable shot, but if you just start on that bottom one, now the longest shot, you're in a big wide open port. It's just hold on and easy to go. And then the top port, while it's angled, you're 150 yards, you're not too far. And if you've shot one of these, especially this was a little bit bigger, you're not at a 45. Like you can actually tilt your gun up almost to like a 30-degree angle maybe. And you can shoot that target.
I think that stage is a great example of like having a good stage plan before the beep goes off. Because if you were able to think about all of that before you're under the pressure of the timer, like I think a lot of people would have kind of gone through those motions. Because like when you're not under pressure, it's totally logical. But when the beep goes off, you're like, oh, here's the easiest port to go through as my first thing and then you're like, crap,
yeah,
I have all these other ones to do now.
Yeah, and we did see some people like start to go to that middle port, and when they said like 75-yard target, they switched their plan. So some people were thinking through that, but I think people just, that big one was right there, that was the easiest one to go to, and they went to it.
And we heard other people like talk through that, like a few other teams that like had great communication and planning.
Yep.
And they all did well on that stage.
Yep. And again, like, who's going to put their gun down and shoot first? We tried planning that ahead of time. Now, that plan changed, and that's fine. But as we were getting up there and I was getting ready first, I basically told Mary, hey, you're going to shoot first now. And she was ready, ground it there, and she was ready. Excuse me. She was ready to go. So, it's good to have a plan. It's also good to be able to change with the plan and have that communication during it to do that. So, excuse me. So that was stage 3. So after stage 3, right here, you came down, you went west on phase line Washington, and headed to this area here, the rally point. So once you got to the rally point, they you tell them your team name, and they kind of are keeping track of like what time you get there, and they know where you're at, what you've done. So at this point, they gave us points Bravo and Charlie. And there's actually water resupply there, which was really nice because it was a hot day, and we used that to the most. So
and it's nice not having to like ration your water.
Yeah.
Not carry a ton of it.
Yeah. So we plotted B and C. We had heard from a lot of people leading up to this that B was probably the hardest. We already knew we struggled with A. We heard B was really hard, so we decided, after plotting B and C doesn't look as difficult. Let's hit C first, and then we'll attack B. So we'll move the map there. From there, we go up phase line Washington. There's a... and I may even put up on the screen the map that I brought. but there's a property line here between I believe that's DeWitt's property, and the game lands. So the left is the game lands. This is some other property. There's a little trail there that I've known from other years, and you can kind of see it on Google Images, and you can definitely see the distinction on the map from the game lands. So we figured out from the road in how far our pace count was going to be. I may even have that still written down. Yeah, C was
Just 100.
100 meters. So we just needed to come in 100 meters, and then we shot an azimuth of, I believe, well, it was 115, but it was...
209.
No, you're looking at the wrong one. It was 115. I think you got the inverse. You kept doing the inverse. It was 104, I believe, after you adjusted for the declination. So we came in and saw that we did our pace of 100 meters. We shot off that azimuth and went into the woods for what was also 100 meters. And this was where that little grid I showed you came in really handy, figuring out stuff like that. You know, once we made the 2 points. And pretty much walked right to it. I mean, you see there's a little bit of wiggle. That's some of that's where we were coming out. But if you look at, this is my path, not Mary's. We spread out a little bit when we were doing this. But pretty much we walked almost straight to it. So that was a good confidence builder right there that, hey, when the brush isn't crazy, when, you know, we still got our heads about us, we can find it. This is, it looks thick, but it's actually just a bunch of like conifer trees that I think were planted by people because they're in very, very straight rows. They're very evenly spaced. There's not a lot of undergrowth. So it was a fairly easy one to find, which was nice. I mean, I think if you didn't have a decent strategy, you could still wander around a bit trying to find it. But in this case, that worked out really well for us. Anything you want to add to that one, Mary, except to try to prove me
I'm
wrong?
just trying to figure out how I got that number. So you can just mind your own
Okay.
business and keep
So
going.
we're going to keep going. So from that, our next point, B, was over, the screen's kind of loading, over in this part of the country. So we had figured out on my map, it doesn't show on all maps, but my map, I had a road drawn in here.
I was shooting azimuth from the road. To our
Yeah.
first
Okay.
point.
She was. That was something different. It was 105, which worked. So there was a road here that I drew in. So we figured out if we paste in, and I don't think I have it written down now, but it was like 450 maybe
Where?
meters. This road here. 350 meters. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, that's how far we cut it.
Right there.
Yeah, 450. So we were going to pace in 450, and then Mary's got an azimuth of 270. So we were...
Is that right?
Yeah, so we were going to try to just go... We were just going to try to go straight across, you know, with the compass. And that was going to be 350 meters. We kind of chose that one because it looked like the shortest distance, the least amount of pace counting, as far as from the trail in the heavy brush stuff. It ended up being like super thick. I mean, almost impenetrable. And I had no confidence after that we were going to be able to get through there. One, keep a straight bearing, and two, have any kind of pace count that was anywhere close to right. And I think I was probably right about that. So you see where we went in, and actually, I think I got a little, right off the bat, we were a little bit off. We may have still found it if our pace would have been right, and we would have done search, but that ended up not being the right one. So we decided to keep heading down this path. We knew that the boundaries for the game lands were this way, and there actually ended up being a path that led all the way to it and all the way along. Now, the boundary is actually straight, but the path's kind of crooked. So once we got on that, we decided, let's go to the road. Let's head down the road, because we've got a good landmark there. And
Met a dog there.
we met a dog there. There was a dog that had obviously just given birth not too long ago. Very
Brian would not let
would
me take her home.
would not let her take her home. Very friendly. But, so again, we plotted, and I don't know, it was like 400 meters here or something like that. Mary's got 450.
To the next point. that we
So
wanted to
from
try.
there to there was going to be 450, and what was your azimuth on that?
Road.
The road? Well, I mean,
No,
going in.
390 into the point.
So we were going to try to shoot in from there and hit that point. Now, if you look at this one, it looks like we were on course to hit it if we would have done. But again,
Brambles.
in this map, I think this was after a controlled burn because it looks really, really like there's not a lot of vegetation. Again, very, very thick brambles, lots of brush. Just seemed impossible to keep going. We were out for a long time at this point, and I said, and actually I wasn't 100% confident that we were where we needed to be. So I kind of did a resection since we knew we were at from there. I shot an azimuth to right where my cursor here is a really tall cell phone tower. There's actually two of them. And I shot the azimuth for that. And then I'll try to put like a photo or scan of this. I drew a line on the map to cross where it crossed the road, just to kind of figure out like,
Yeah, that's pretty good, Ryan.
did our pace count
Look at you.
match? And I found I thought we were just not quite far enough what we needed to be. It looks like we were about there, and we were probably going to get it if we were able to keep going. But it just seemed it didn't seem like that was a good strategy either. So at that point, our plan was, let's keep going down that road. I knew that tower was there. I said, let's look there and see if the brush looks any better. And so when we got there, it did. The brush, it was not nearly as thick of woods. You could actually like look and see and walk for a little bit. So at that point, we figured out the bearing we needed to take. I want to say it was like 185 or something like that. And that was going to be 390, almost 400 meters in. And that's kind of the reason I was making that last, because it seemed like a really long way to go. I was hoping we could hit it in a little bit shorter. I guess 350 and 400 aren't like crazy different, but so that's what we ended up doing. We went from here, shot the azimuth. You can see we did a little bit searching. Right here where we're kind of back and forth was where our pace count of 390 stopped us. And we kind of started looking around. Again, I was able to see the telephone, cell phone tower, and kind of did a resection, like shot my bearing, shot my azimuth to it, used the little line of my protractor, take it down, and saw that, the bearing that we had been going, the direction I was at from that cell phone tower showed in line with our point. So in my mind, if we hadn't found it yet and we went fairly straight, we must be a little bit shallow. And we had some other teams around and kind of encouraging us that we could see them coming from, in the general direction, and we thought we must just be shallow. So, so we went a little deeper in, and I think right around here is where Mary found it. We were kind of spreading out at that point, and
just stumbled upon it.
She stumbled upon it. We found it. I mean, it was, and that's part of this.
It's clearly, if you see where our lines are, we were not doing any of the like the boxing searching or the spiral searching. We're just kind of meandering.
Yeah, and some of that back and forth was me finding a good spot in the trees to shoot my azimuth so that I could see, where I could see it, because you couldn't see it all throughout the trees. You had to find an opening. But that was one of the harder ones, and I guess a lot of people thought it was the hardest. It definitely wasn't easy. But we found, and really it was just like there's a little clearing. Like if you happen to find your way into it, I mean, it wasn't a clearing, but there's like an opening in the brush that...
Yeah. Suddenly it was there.
Suddenly it was there. So we found that...
The tree would not have helped me that time.
No.
It was too covered.
So we found that, headed back, and from there you head back to rally point, the RP, and from there they send you up. There's a little sign pointing, and you come up along these two little lakes, ponds, and we're gonna switch back over. Or no, we'll just stay here. We can talk about it here.
Okay, that's fine. I see your beautiful face.
So, so this course had two different parts. What your teammates were doing. The first teammate, which ended up being me, ran down this little path to the end here where they had a ammo can with some weight in it, and down near the pond was a 3-plate rack. So I had to draw my pistol, shoot those each twice, through it twice, holster, pick the ammo can up, and run back to this little area where Mary was at. So at that main shooting position, you had a couple things you had to do. You had like 7 of these little tiny 2x2 plates, maybe 3x3, maybe they were 3x3, 4x4. I don't want to make them sound too small.
Yeah, they weren't 2x2.
But they weren't. Yeah, 4x4 maybe.
4x4.
But they were not very big still. They were just sitting on top of a pallet. You had to clear all those, and then each teammate had to put 5 shots on a silhouette with pistol, and then 5 shots kind of across the pond on another silhouette with rifle. And kind of, again, you can't be shooting the same steel at the same time as your partner. So, like, if Mary was shooting the pistol steel, I couldn't shoot that at the same time because they don't know whose hits are hits, whose are whose. So, I ran down, did that, came back. The plan was for Mary to neutralize her rifle targets first. And I was going to then do the little knockdown, or I was going to shoot the pistol targets, the big one, and then do the knockdowns while she went to that. Well,
I had a hard time finding the target.
she had a hard time finding the target, getting in a good position to shoot it. So I got back there and immediately took care of all the little knockdowns, which went. I'm not the best pistol shooter in the world, but it went really well. I was real happy with myself there. And then I went to start shooting, because I still got pistol out, the big plate silhouette that I had to shoot 5 times. Well, as soon as I got done with that and was about to start shooting that, Mary yelled done, that she was done with rifle. So she was holstering and loading a rifle. So I had to really quickly holster. You're putting your rifle down and pulling out your pistol.
Yeah.
So I really quickly shot, and again, I was shooting pistol pretty good that day. Shot those 5 real quick before she could draw. So then she drew, and then I went and loaded the rifle and shot my 5 on that further play. I think I went prone on it just to get a little more stability.
We timed out on that one.
Yes, we did time out. I got the rifle. I think you were a couple pistol hits short. So there's a lot going on those, and she shot really well. She's not shot a match or guns much in 3 years, so stuff like that's real dynamic, and you're trying to find targets, on the other side of the lake, kind of in a wood line.
I'm securing myself.
It's a challenge. So that was not how we wanted it, but it was still a fun stage, and I think it still went well. We communicated well. We just need to speed up shooting a little bit. So that was a good time. Then you go from, that was stage 4, maybe 100 yards, and you're right there at stage 5. And I'll let you describe stage 5. That's the bounding one.
Oh, the bounding one. That was fun. Okay, so stage 5 was a rifle-only stage. So you start with, there's, how many? 5 different spots to shoot from.
I think, how many positions? I think I shot from 3 positions.
I mean, I shot from
Or did you shoot from 3 and I shot from 4?
You shot from 4, so 7
Yeah.
positions. So shooter 1, a shooter 2, and so shooter 1 starts with their spot. There's only one target across the pond, and so Ryan had to shoot 4
shots.
Shots, and then when you were done, I could go to my.
Once I fired, because it's kind of a bounding fire, so it beeped. Once I fired my first shot,
then I could run to my spot.
Yeah.
And then when you were done, then I could start. And as soon as you were done with your shots, you could run to your next spot.
As long as she was shooting.
As long as I was shooting.
Yeah, so you have to have that cover fire is the idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That
makes sense.
But, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, but it was fun because there were always trees that you could rest on and get a good shot. And it was very active, and I liked the moving and shooting aspect of it. On our very last, my very last shot or position, I went to unload and show clear, and I couldn't get the bolt back, and so I mortared it on the ground, and came open, and I looked down in the chamber and saw my firing pin. And I said, "Oh, that's not how it's supposed to look."
Yeah, so we cleared the stage. We had a bolt break at the cam pin. That's one of the first good bolt carriers or bolt carrier groups I've ever bought or got. A long
decade
time
ago.
Yeah, over 10 years ago. So it was probably due for retirement. Now it is being retired. So
It's been laid to rest.
yeah. But we cleared the stage. So very fun. Again,
Not it. I know.
yeah.
I'm just looking at it.
Again, the challenge of this, the people who are fast is get in position quick, get on the target, start shooting. As soon as you start shooting, the next person moves. But ideally, even when your one partner's shooting fast, when you want to get in that next position and get done quick enough that as soon as they're done shooting, your next partner can start shooting. So, if it's taking them a little bit to get that 4 shots, like one of the positions, I was able to get in, rest on a branch, and my sights were on the target. So as soon as Mary yelled done, that she was done with her 4th target, I was breaking shots on mine so that she could start moving.
And I was counting your hits as well, so I knew in case you forgot or didn't yell soon enough that I was paying attention.
And I was trying to count hers as well. I mean, when you're running and moving, sometimes it's hard to count every RO, time they yell hit, but it does work. And if you're hearing them, you're doing that. But yeah, that's really the key to this. Is most of these sports, it's not about necessarily shooting faster, but it's about doing things sooner. So she's done, and as soon as she's done, I'm shooting. My splits can be kind of slow. I mean, she's still got to get to that next position, but if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and she's already in position to shoot, and as soon as my 4, she's won, that's kind of the key to doing that.
I felt like I had time to actually settle in and get a good rest on the tree.
Yeah. So after that stage is back to the rally point. Let me check my notes here just to make sure. But, yep. So back to the rally point. Again, which is right about here. And from that rally point, they give you your next point, which is point D. D, actually, they've had a point here before. I would say, would you agree D was probably the easiest point
We could
of the
see
whole
it
week?
before we were even
Yeah. So, again,
years from it.
you still got to be able to plot things correctly. But yeah,
gimme.
but it was kind of a give me. So it came up. I don't want to. I hate to say
kind-
that Ellis is going to hear this and make everything even harder than he did this year, which
I
I
think
guess
he knows we need a break
is a challenge.
after
But
all that.
I think there's part of the reason for this. But so you came up. We went up the same path. We went down here again. I knew there was a path there. I knew where the game lands and the DeWitt's property ended, and that's about where it was. The point was. So we didn't even really do a pace count. My plan was to go down this to the edge of the property, and if we couldn't find it visually just there, that we were then going to get an azimuth and stuff and do a little bit more exact using this edge of this field. But it was just right in there, and we found it.
Maybe like 2/3 of the way down the field you could see it.
So we found that. There was a shotgun shell there, which Mary grabbed because I was punching. She held on to that for later use, with a surprise tool that will come in handy later. It's a nice Mauska tool. And then after that, you head back again to the rally point. Like I said, it was certainly nice. We had been out there for a long time by that point, and it was nice to have something that was kind of a give me, some fairly easy. From there, we headed back. There's just a sign with a splits telling you go to the next one. And we came down and went to, let me say, that was 4, 5. So stage 6, which was up over in this
the trench.
It was the trench.
That was fun.
They do, last 3 years they've done a stage here. They've got this trench built up, and they've always done something different. Sometimes it's rifle. Sometimes it's rifle and pistol, or sometimes it's rifle and pistol. This was just pistol. And this was a fun one. So I was shooter 1, Mary was shooter 2.
Mm-hmm. And the RO made sure that you were shooter 1.
The RO said, very nice guy. I think it was one of the Appalachian Syndicate groups. Got one of the guys there. I don't know if I've met him before, but super nice guy. He said, I want to save you sleeping on the couch tonight, and you are going to be shooter 1, because if she's shooter 1, she's not going to be happy with you. I said, okay. Whatever, the RO's the boss. So shooter 1 had 4 positions. They had clays laid out. From each position, you had to shoot the same target 4 times. Just kind of like a C-zone IPSC. I don't know, maybe 15 yards. I doubt it was even 20 yards. It was probably closer to 15. Not real far, but not necessarily super close either. But and then when you started on the farthest side, that was maybe the hardest shot because it was bladed just a little bit from you, so you didn't quite have the full width. So I shot 4, next position 4, next position 4, fourth position 4. Once I was finished, I could holster. I yelled go. Mary shot down in the trench to start her shooting. And while she was doing that, I ran and grabbed a rucksack. And I think this is the big reason they had, besides there's more shooting, this was a big reason. I grabbed a rucksack, which was fairly heavy-ish, and like a simulated M16, like 20-inch, carry handle rifle, and went to follow Mary. And Mary, I'll let you say what you were doing.
Yeah, so I was allowed to start or go down into the trench after Ryan had holstered his pistol, done all of his shots and holstered. So I was watching him as I was getting race ready and counting his shots and waiting until he holstered, just to make sure that I had a visual confirmation of that. And he also yelled go, and the RO also said go. So everything be safe. But I went down into the trench, and there were...
It's like barbed wire at the entrance you got to crawl under.
Yeah, another thing, nice thing about being short. That was not hard. So there were 4 different spots to shoot from, and you had to kind of crawl through the trench. And so there was one target. You had to shoot it 4 times.
Yep.
And then between positions, you had to holster your pistol, which crawling on your hands and knees, that is the safest thing to do.
Yeah, because there's a trench dug in, actually dug in, but
it's all sandy.
And it's sandy, but some of the walls, some of the areas you're going are pallets, 2 pallets on the side and then 1 on top. So once you get in the trench, you can't just run. There's actually, like Mary's saying, there's getting down and low and kind of crawl, not belly crawling, but
yeah, but you have to duck
crouching down. Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of nice because if you wanted to, you could. I did rest my arms on the pallets and the trench soil. Yeah. So the hits were pretty easy. The first one, just like Ryan's, was bladed, so it was kind of harder to get the hits on it, but it was a fun, active stage. And then as soon as I was done, just having my good teamwork, I made sure that I was well out of the way so Ryan could take his last hit.
Yeah. So once she got 4 hits, she holstered, got out of the way. Again, I'm following her this whole time with a rifle and a ruck. Like I was throwing the ruck through the things, but it was kind of a challenge because I wanted to like throw it through the low tunnels, but not like throw it into her while she's shooting, throw her off.
Thank you.
I bashed my head at least 2 or 3 times on those, kind of trying to rush through. But once she gets done with her last 4 hits, she holsters, gets out of the way, and then I have to draw and neutralize that last steal 4 times. And that,
So it was a pistol only
yes,
stage. I don't know if we said that.
I think we did, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So good, kind of, I won't say high round count, but pistol only stage.
Yeah, my pistol locked back on the last shot, so
Yeah.
that was convenient.
Yeah, because you think 4 targets at 4 each. If you got a 20 round mag, that doesn't leave a whole lot of misses. So
Even it's 22.
yeah,
But I had
I'm saying,
my
yeah,
misses, but it
yeah, a lot of
worked
people
out.
carry. If you're carrying a 17 round mag, you're definitely, you're probably going to have to reload. So that was a lot of fun. We cleared that one. That was a good stage for us. Got to come back where you started, and
I'm gonna tend to a child.
yeah, we've got a child calling something, so I'm gonna let Mary take care of that, and I will keep going here. All right, sorry, we're back. So again, we were going on to stage 7. This one was rifle and pistol. And again, you can see it's not too far. You're kind of back to back. One of the things I'm going to interject here. One of the things I really like about this match and the way that Ellis runs it is that I think there's a really good flow to the whole match. You start off with some land nav, then you get to shoot a little. And then you do a little bit more land nav, and you get to shoot a little. And it's not just like you do a bunch of walking and you shoot one stage. You do a bunch of walking and then you get to shoot 2 or 3 stages or 4 stages. I guess 2 or 3. So it's some of it I think is just a necessity of the land and like how you do it, not have people just walk like, if you just walk to stage 1 and then walk back to land nav and then walk to stage 2, you'd get up 30 miles in a day. I mean, so I do like how that whether it's intentional or not, the match flow on this stage I think this match is really nice. So this was a rifle and pistol stage. You started off, each of you in a box, and each of you had your own pistol target. On the beep, you had to draw, hit that pistol target twice, holster, and then go to your respective areas. Mary went to the left to like a little barricade, and she had a radio and some numbers, some azimuths. I went underneath into a box, like a low crawl into a box, and I had a radio and a lensatic compass. So her job was she had 3 targets she needed to shoot from left to right, and I had 3 targets I needed to shoot, but she needed to give me the information. Since there was 3, I basically had her read me 2 azimuths. I wrote it down on my hand in marker, and then if I have the 2 and there's only 3 targets, it's pretty obvious what the last one is. So after she gave me that and I wrote it down, I started shooting. She started shooting. So using the compass, the first one was like at 105 or 180 or something, I had to shoot that azimuth, try to find that. And it was a pretty far poke out into some woods. And so I shot that. Then the next one was like 54. That was all the way to the far left. So I shot that. Now there's one in the middle. Opposite, or the process of elimination. That's my last one. So I shot that, cleared my gun out, and I was done. Radioed over to Mary that I was done, and I was like, I don't really hear shooting, so I'm gonna go see what's going on, see if I can help. Because Mary needed to shoot her 3 and then ground her rifle, and then there was like a suicide bomber. It's like a piece of steel with like a suicide vest on, bomb vest. And she had to shoot that to stop it. So I got out, went over there. She was having trouble. I'll let you explain.
I couldn't find my first target. Like I was looking, like with my eyes. I was looking with my scope. I was looking everywhere. I was just not looking far enough left. And Like, I saw some shadows out in the woods. I was like, well, maybe that's it. Maybe I'll just go ahead and give it a
poke.
pot shot.
Yeah.
And I didn't. But that was definitely not where it was. But finally, I looked further left and found it.
And it
And
was
the
kind
RO
of
was the RO. Bless his heart, he was trying so hard to help me.
yeah,
I
like
just
it
not
was
getting
it was in the shades. I mean, this was getting a little later, but it was in the shade of the trees to the far left. So
But
like
had I have looked far enough left to begin with, I would have found it a lot faster. But I was just not. It was not going through my head. But eventually,
so she found it and shot that. I forget it was a handful of shots, let's say 2, 3, 4. I forget the exact
4.
number. 4 on each hit. She had 3 of them to do. I think she timed out before she got to finished that last rifle shot. Didn't get to the.
I got one shot at my last rifle target.
Yeah. So another DNF, not fun, but it is what it is. I mean, they're certainly challenging sometimes when there's a lot of real estate that you're looking at to find targets, and you don't do it every day.
I think what we should have done, talking again about stage planning, was find all of the targets before even starting our stage, because then you could have helped me find it.
Yeah, I don't know if we could see them from the box though. That's the only problem.
Like, do you have to stay in the box when you're getting your stage brief? Can you kind of wander?
I don't know.
around it?
It wasn't really like I don't know. I don't know. This is a match where you can. Maybe we could have asked. We certainly could have asked to see if we could find all the targets. Sometimes you can. Sometimes, especially because we were hitting some wait time and some groups bunching up, they just don't give you the time to do it. So it is what it is. Mary still shot really well, but it's just that those match things of finding targets and kind of knowing some of the tricks for looking for them, just things that take practice and experience.
Yeah.
So we finished up with that. Like I said, that's kind of right here. And then we headed to just right down the road was the last target and last stage. And 2 different checkpoints made a difference on this stage.
2 different ones?
Yes, because D, we had to pick up
the
shotgun shell.
That put in my pocket.
Mary had it in her pocket, so they said, "Who's got the shotgun shell?" She said, "I did." She said, "You're the shotgunner." Yes. Which, they'd explain the stage, and I was proud, but Mary's like, "Well, what kind of shotgun is it?" He's like, "That's a good question." She went up. She still had no clue what to do when she got to it.
I knew it was different from your Benelli styled.
Yeah.
Stoker.
Yeah. So she,
I knew things.
but that's a good question. I will. No, it's a good question because if you are familiar with pump shotguns, and I've asked the same question at matches, where the safety is and how it works is different with different brand shotguns.
We cleared that stage, technically.
Kind of. So she started by running up, loading the shotgun shell in, and shooting a bad guy there. That was a silhouette. I had to just keep muzzle down. I was empty, but I stayed up behind her, next to her. So it's kind of like she's clearing, breaching or whatever. Because they had like a tannerite patch or something. So when she shot it, man, there was a big boom.
You could hear it from like our stage 3.
Yeah.
And like every time it was like, what is that noise?
Yeah. So if it happened here, you could hear it pretty good from stage 3.
In the moment, it didn't register.
So once that happened, she went into a little blind area and had to climb a ladder. And at the top of the ladder, load her rifle. And she had 2 targets. One was to the right, and that was a full-size silhouette. One was to the left, and as they said, that was like the general, and he has body armor on. Now, I never got a clear visual. You could kind of see towards the middle with something different. I'm guessing that had like a cutout where there's another plate that would move. The main thing was you either had to shoot it in the head or you had to shoot it in the pelvic girdle. So Mary shot it in the pelvic girdle. So she had 2 of those targets to shoot. I ran to the other side, was told I had to shoot all the enemy targets with 4 rounds and then neutralize the right target. And I couldn't shoot it at the same time Mary did. So when I got over there, I shot the targets 4 times, all the enemies that I saw. And then because Mary was still loading, I think at that point, hadn't started shooting yet, I kind of changed the plan, and I said,
Honestly.
hey, you shoot the one with the pelvic girdle. I'm going to shoot the one right out in front of me because we couldn't shoot them at the same time. Originally, I think she was going to load and shoot that first because I thought I would take longer. So I shot that one 5 times. She shot the pelvic girdle one. She shot that guy 5 times. Mm-hmm. While she finished, I had to ground my rifle. I had to take a tourniquet and put it around a log correctly, and then stand up and then go shoot pistol. They're dueling tree. I forgot about that. They had a dueling tree with 5 plates, so I had to draw a pistol, flip them all one way, and then flip them all back. I think it was 5.
You had a lot to do in that stage.
I did have a lot to do in that stage. So she finished rifle way before I finished with everything.
Like climb ladder.
We cleared this in the correct amount of times, and then the RO says to me, did you find checkpoint A? And I said, no. He said, if you would have, you would have known not to shoot the man with the purple pants.
And blue pants.
The blue pants. All the targets had camo on. I had noticed they had camo on. I actually checked first to make sure that they were all the same camo, that it wasn't some, like, there was Russian camo and American camo or something. Saw they were all in the same camo. Did not see blue pants. Even if I would have, I don't know if it would have registered. But come to find out at checkpoint, or the point A, Alpha, if you had found it, it had said that on the sheet it said, do not shoot the person with the blue pants. I was in good company because a lot of other people didn't find A and still shot Mr. Blue Pants. And even some of the people who found A, that was the very first thing you did, if you remember, by stage 8, they completely forgot. And some of the people that even found A still shot Mr. Blue Pants. So,
that target was riddled with holes.
Because 4 rounds apiece. I mean, that was a great little, I don't want to say trick, that was a neat little device that Ellis added into the match. Him and his, I don't know how much, I know he has people help him with some of these stages and stuff, but I think that was him. Very cool little thing that they added, that, bit us, and if you hit it, you got a DNF. You got out of that stage. So, certainly a bummer to finish a stage and think you did everything right and not, but at the same time, that's the penalty for us giving up on A, I guess. So, very, very neat. From that point, you kind of go through this field. They got some signs, I believe, and you follow that back. Oh, yeah, they got signs, and they send you back to the checkpoint, so where you started out. And did you have anything else to add to that last stage? I don't want to...
No. I mean, that was a fun stage.
Yeah, and I was happy we communicated as a team. Mm-hmm. Again, this was one of those, we had a plan, but as we got shooting, and I shot a little quicker than Mary was able to get up and loaded, the plan needed to change, and it changed, and it was...
smooth.
It's smooth. It worked out, So I think that's definitely a key to team matches, is having a plan, but being able to communicate and pivot when that plan doesn't make sense anymore. Mm-hmm. So we got back to the CP, and they gave us our last point, which was E. E ended up, this was another one, I think this was a fairly easy point. I imagine most everybody found this one. You could see on at least my map that we did, there was a little path. Well, we were fairly sure there was a path here. We knew there was this little road here as well. We could see that the point was just next to this pond, like the wide part of the pond. So we went up, and I thought, if there's the path there, we're going to take that. If not, we can go up to this road and head around the pond. It was there. We went in. This was a little bit off the... you kind of had to look in the woods, but you could see it was not like right on the pond. It was a little bit off, so it was a fairly easy find. Check that. Headed back, ran it on in.
I made Ryan sprint.
Made me sprint, and we finished. It was a long day. We should have brought it down here. Actually,
I'll go get it.
We're gonna go grab it, and I will do some stuff here. Let me thank some sponsors while she's grabbing this. We won an award. Not the award you always want to win, but we won an award. So KGM suppressors. We won the RO raffle. We got 50% off KGM suppressors. Thank them. I know they sponsor a lot of the gun run stuff. They are super people. They make some really cool cans. I saw quite a few of them out there. Great company. So if you need a suppressor, maybe look at them. I think this was the first match Hollow Sun sponsored. Hollow Sun had a whole bunch of, or a handful of, not a whole bunch. They had like 4, 5, 6 optics out. Red dots out on the prize table. So Hollow Sun was a good one. Just keep it down for Hollow Sun. Crate Tactical are great people. Me and Mary both have knives from matches that we had on this, so they sponsor a lot. I've got one of their these Ace Tac placards that is really nice. I still have not had a chance. It hasn't fit a match that I'm shooting, kind of the layout, but great. Those are great. So Crate Tactical's awesome. Map Tools, who we showed you their stuff. Map Tools sponsored it. As a side, while I'm thinking of it, if you are doing stuff like this, we mentioned just how thick, nasty the brush was. We lost 3 pairs of safety glasses, 3 glasses out there. If your stuff is not tied down to you like this little clip, you will probably lose it. So, Mary, this was Mary's paste beads and stuff. She had all her stuff tied down. You just, you have to tie everything down. There's probably more sponsors. I'm sure I'm forgetting them. Do you remember anyone else that was there? Yeah, I said KGM. They had a bunch of magazines for 2011 that...
There's some range bags, too.
Yeah, some range bags. A lot of stuff. I forget all the sponsors. Go check out the Gun Run. They'll have that, but those were some of the big ones. Thank all the sponsors. So, because we were out on the course for like 8 hours and 10 minutes, we put in almost 13 miles. We got the award at this match for longest time on the course. I guess after the very first match, one of the teams was also out there about 8 hours. And since that time, they've been, last couple of years, they've been giving an award for the longest time on the course. We won it. We got it. We were out there a while. So,
all I had to do is lose the toenail.
Yep, eventually the toenail is going to fall off here. So, it's, let me switch off of this match, Matt, and we'll do our kind of closing thoughts here. All right, so let's do a wrap up on this. So, Mary, what are your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it. I already enjoy the type 2 fun, so I enjoy the shooting and the hiking, and I learned a lot. So I had never done a match where you shoot as a team. So
yeah, we did zombie together.
Oh,
which was a long time. I mean, that was 5 years ago, and there was some team aspects of it. But I would say this one does a really good job of playing that team together. You're not just 2 people shooting next to each other. There's a lot of teammates. And it's been a long time. I don't want to make zombie sound like there's not that, because there is. But this is just a fresh one that we know for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I liked, I had taken the land nav course with you. And
yeah, I had a friend... do one a couple of years ago. Put one on. No, Alex. Alex, a friend of mine, was taught it in the Air Force and learned it, as a Cub Scout or Boy Scout or whatever. And I wanted to know more about this, and he put on a class for us at one of my friend's gun shops.
A year or 2 ago?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. So.
But so being able to put that in action I was a lot more confident in the plotting and the shooting and azimuth and all that as we went on in the match.
Yeah.
So that was a good experience. And besides, with any shooting sport I've done, there's been a lot of great people there to talk to and hang out with.
Yep. Yeah. The gun run. This is something Ellis has this amazing culture around it, and he gets a ton of credit for this. I know he has a ton of help because the match I've shot 4 of his matches now, and I see the same people at all of them, and they're all ROing and they're doing this, and the same people are showing up, and he's just created a really good culture down there. And there's just a lot of good people that are helping him run these matches. I know, especially this match, that other people are helping design stages. I don't know how much that happens at some of his other matches, but he's able to reach out and get that help. And
and like when we went there and like he was going over our stage with us, like he was open to our input when like we didn't understand something or felt like things needed to be changed or
how there were some questions on how maybe to shoot something, and so we were kind of he's a great super guy. So yeah, that's great. We did forget to go over guns, our gear that we used. We went over a little bit the land nav specific. Mary shot a 16-inch. My 16-inch kind of old. It was an old 3-gun rifle. I made it my running gun rifle for a while. 1-8 optic. She was running. We both ran suppressed for this.
Nice.
She was a little worried at first running suppressed because it does add about a pound extra to your gun, and but then she shot it a little bit, and she's like, "Yeah, suppressed is the way to go." Yeah, there's a kid. Mary's going to have to go take care of.
You go take care of
Normally, while I do these, she is running kid interference. So anyway, we both shot suppressed. She had a Diligent Defense Enticer S, which is a really nice can. She also shot an M&P. She's got an M&P Pro, which is their 5-inch gun, iron-sighted. And she was using a RDR gear chest rig, kind of think like, I think we got behind, Spiritus chest rig, Spiritus type chest rig, placard. So very nice.
One thing we found that I needed to use the X harness, like this is what, that's why I used this.
Yeah.
Harness. Because the H harnesses were too wide on my shoulders.
Yeah, so there's something. If you're a lady, depending on your size, and guys too, if you're a little bit smaller framed, it does seem like X harnesses can be nice. I do like the X harness. I ran this is an older Haley Strategic. I believe this was a Extreme Gear Lab sewn one. One thing I will say about this, I run that RDR gear a ton. That's mine. Having some admin pockets when you're doing stuff like this, like I had my compass tucked in one, lanyarded on. My map pins and my protractors and grid and stuff were in another one. I've got it's a little homemade pouch kind of behind here that I was putting maps in when I wasn't holding them. That's pretty handy. So admin, we could add that to the back of that, but the admin pouches on the side are kind of really handy for something like this. I shot my 12.5 rifle on this show. I mean, it's a pretty standard rifle. I also had a 1-8. That's maybe something that helped with switching guns.
You have the same gun, basically.
Both my guns have AccuPower 1-8s on them. They both have Geisley triggers, SDs. Both of them were suppressed. I had my Thunder Beast on the 12.5, but handguards are generally set up the same. I mean, actually same buttstock. Pistol grip's a little different, but basically you can swap between the two of them. Same sight picture, everything.
It's nice having the adjustable stock when I used your rifle.
Yeah. I was shooting my Staccato, my 2019 Staccato P. It's got a red dot on that. And I had a Safari Land holster. That's one thing we're going to upgrade before next year. Mary just had like a a folded Kydex holster, which it's a nice holster, but it doesn't have active retention.
Yeah.
And active retention is key for these matches. So really, we could probably just get another flashlight, and she could use the Omnivore if we really needed to. But I'm sure there's a Safari Land out there, and we could excuse me, pick up for her. So my closing thoughts. This is my 3rd year I've done it. Every year I learn a ton about land nav. I guess as background, the first year it was me and a guy that my friend had picked up for me because when he got hurt, and I knew a little about land nav. That guy basically had watched some videos on land nav. We kind of figured it out. I think there was one point we didn't get that year. Certainly learned a lot, but still felt very lacking. Last year I did it with my friend Nick, who's a land nav whiz, and and this is what me and Mary did. While me and Nick both plotted points, and we both looked at the map to make a plan on how to get there. I learned a ton by watching someone more experienced and how they did it. Because there was occasion I'd be like, well, I think we should do this. And Nick said, well, I think it'd be better to do this. And it was like, okay, you know what? You got more experience. We're going to do it that way. But just seeing those differences, and like last year we had trouble with a point. Nick did a resection, which is kind of where I learned a lot of that. We figured out where we're at. We're confident where we're at. Made a plan and found it from there. So, things that I learned last year, I was able to bring into this year and learn as well. Now, certainly we learned even more stuff, just the two of us together. And we got things to practice before next year. We did go out and practice the week before the match just to try to refresh ourselves on the land nav. But we definitely have a lot more to learn. So I think there's some stuff we're going to take out of this and go practice. And I'm excited that Mary wants to do it. We've got a lot of good areas around us where we can just land nav. If you've never done it, this kind of terrain, and we're in Ohio. This was North Carolina, but this part of North Carolina was very much like Ohio. It's very, very flat. There's tons of trees, and there's tons of underbrush, and there's also tons of man-made boundaries. Traditionally, when you see land nav, it's like, and if you look at like the military's land nav, and it's like you've got the 5 major terrain features, and it's like there's fingers, there's cliffs, there's this, there's that. Well,
mountain ranges.
There's mountain range. Well, we don't have that around here. I mean, our elevation, if it changes 20 to 50 feet, that's a lot. That's a lot of elevation change. But that's over a really long area. It's very subtle. You can't just look at a contour map and just be like, oh, I'm right here because this is a depression. Well, the depression's only, the depression stretches out for 100 yards, and it's only 20 feet different than the high spot. I mean, you can use some of that. I'm not saying it's not, because we did. I'm just saying
it's not as obvious.
It's not as obvious. If you're out in the desert and you don't know where you're at, I can shoot I can find, here's this mountain range, and I can shoot an azimuth between this one and draw lines, and I know exactly where I'm at. If I'm in the middle of the woods, I can't see anything except for trees. I don't know, I can't even see if the elevation changes. So, there's a good and a bad about all that, but the terrain around here can make it more challenging, I think, it sounds like. From people I talk to that do land nav, they say some of the harder stuff to navigate in. So, but we have a lot of good places to practice that, and I really think that what we get here, if we go out to these other places, will really help us, because if you can do it in the woods, you can land nav when you can't see anything by pace count and other things. It should be easier when you actually have some eyesight and be able to have some land terrain to go off of. But again, we got to get out, maybe get out west and do some of this so we can really kind of get that flavor. As for closing, if this sounds interesting to you, I would sign up and do it. I know he does it once a year. There are other matches that do some of this. Wolverine, which is up in Michigan, I've done that twice now, and that has a land nav section. There's local orienteering groups. They meet on weekends that we're not free, but that's a good thing. There's groups that just do this for fun. We met some cool guys that it was their very first match ever, and they did this one. This is I think met 2 people. It's a heck of a first match. It is a lot to do, but they did it. They had fun. One of the guys out there was him and his dad. His dad was 77 years old, and I think the minimum I saw was 9 or 10 miles that people did out there. And that was rough brush, and that guy is an absolute beast. So I don't know his name. Kudos to him. If I can be, I plan on doing this at 78, and it's people like that kind of inspire me to keep trying that. Thanks for watching. Again, like and share. Check out the sponsors of this match. If you have questions, please ask in the comments. Get a hold of us on social media. Anything else, Mary?
No.
All right. Well, thanks, and see you out in the range.
Thanks.